What's up, y'all? How you doing today? So basically this week we've been going over the unique upcoming characters, trying to see which dudes we want to pull for whenever banners come out. So without wasting too much of your time, we only have like 6 or 7 dudes left, so let's just go ahead and look at them. These are the unique 4 stars we're looking at. We can look at the 3 stars too if you want to. Like, I don't really care, but yeah, for the most part, we're just going to look at these last few guys, and then I will do a quick recap of all the guys, all the 4 stars and whatever that I said I would like to pull for and why. So without wasting too much time, let's just get into the video. Okay, like always, let's start with our baseline character being Laharl to help compare, and we'll be starting with Barbara. Alright, Barbara, let's see what you got going on. We got very mediocre HP, decent attack, very high defense, dude. The defense is nuts on that. Low int, and then pretty good resistance with a slow speed. Resistance is in every attribute, so automatically that's a plus right off the bat. Looks like we got an axe character, so even though she's still already slow, so this is another thing. She's still already slow with 48 speed. Now the game wants you to put an axe on her, which lowers her speed even more. So yikes, slow whenever we're talking about speed. Attack and defense whenever she's wearing an axe, whatever. Self, SP plus 6 when attacked. Yo, that's pretty cool. So like, if she gets attacked, say there's 5 enemies and she gets attacked 3 times, she gets 18 SP just right before her turn. That's pretty cool. That, you know, it's give or take, you know. She could get hit 4 times, 5 times and get a bunch of SP, or she could just never get hit and then she ends up not getting any SP anyways. So, but that's still interesting, cool, and unique. We haven't seen anything like that so far. The lower the HP, the higher the boost on defense and resistance, up to 70%. So, on top of her getting SP whenever she gets hit, she gets tankier and tankier the lower her HP actually is. So, yeah, she moves last because she's so slow. The enemy will probably be moving before her, attacking her, increasing her defenses, and also giving her an SP boost to use some of these skills that we could look at. Also, self-damage dealt by skills plus 45%. Not bad at all. Alright, for abilities, we got a defense buff as if she needed it, so that's pretty cool. Single target attack percent buff that also does a decent amount of damage. And then an S rank attack buff that's only a 65 cost, so that's pretty cool. Good damage right there. What was her attack again? Not really that great, so not really going to be doing too much damage, even if it is an S rank, because of her base stats are so low. We got star abilities that she's using. So we have a single target 15 cost, E plus average. We have the defense breaks. So she has single target defense breaks on the enemy while she's extremely tanky. She prevents the enemy from being tanky, and that's her niche apparently. Area of effect, star power damage, 35 cost. Area of effect, star power damage, 45 cost. All in all, super duper tank, dude. If you ever had a reason to need to stall and survive, this is the person that will stall and survive for you forever. If you wanted to do like towers, use her as the tower base and lift everyone up, pretty sure she's going to be one of the hardest units to kill, and that's pretty interesting. I'll leave her up for that reason. Okay, guy, who's next? This is Xenolith. Cool name, cool character too. Good HP, good attack, decent in everything else, you know. 3 pretty hefty resistances for these attributes. Star is, you know, whatever, but the other 3 are 50% resisted. That's pretty nice. Look at this kid freaking out, dude. What happened to you? Is he freaking out because he got free shipping? What a weirdo. Holy cow, let's close that. I don't want to see that haunting my nightmares. Spear equipping members attack buff. Self, healed by 15% if an enemy is down when a turn ends. We've talked about these types of abilities before. Situational, even though in a certain situation, situational things can be good, but also in certain situations they can be bad. You kind of want something that's good, like relatively good all the time versus being really, really good sometimes. So you do have to make sure an enemy is down, and then you get to heal 15% of your HP after that point. Definitely need to be equipping spears because we got 2 spear buffs right here, and female members damage taken minus 12%. So you want females that are using spears on your team. Kind of strange. Moving on. Int buff and attack percent buff to only himself, but that is both int and attack, so he can be like a hybrid. He can do physical and magical damage, and he can buff both of them. Single target minor defense break and an area of effect minor defense break, but that's an 85 cost. Stupid hefty cost for that area of effect minor defense break. Only C plus at an 85 cost. Yow, why? No. Single target E plus star. Looks like we got intellect break, so if you have an enemy that's intellect heavy and they're kind of going to toss your salad, you have a chance here to break their intellect and stop them from, you know, tossing you so hard, I guess. Also, you know, your basic area of effect, medium cost star abilities, but these multipliers, F plus and E, let's close out of him. Next, this guy looks so cool, dude. This guy looks insane. Please be good, for the love of God. Bloodis looks freaking awesome. Intense HP. HP super duper high. Really good defense too. Attack is medium. Intellect is low. Whatever. Resistance is pretty high and speed is pretty slow. We're looking at minor resistances in every attribute. So he's going to be kind of, you know, kind of hard to kill with HP like that and defenses like that. Resistance attributes. He's going to be a tough sell. We also have a glove user here. So even though he's 47 speed, gloves give you an innate speed buff. Still slow. That's not like that makes up for being 47, but it's not as bad as 47 would be. Self, attack and defense plus 20% when attacked. Okay, so, alright. Fist equipping members, single target damage dealt plus 15%. Okay, he uses fists. That doesn't mean everyone on your team does. Self, all stats except HP and speed plus 7% when a turn begins. And belt equipping members, attack and defense. You know, some strange requirements, but if you had all of those on him, great. The fist dyes the earth jet black. I like the sound of that. 20 cost star AoE. So, you know, that's, on par with people like Disgaea, Laharl, etc., where they just have the farming 20 cost, but they don't really have an SP gain, so he doesn't get to spam it, so he's not going to be a farmer per se. We got a 45 cost AoE minor defense break, and a single target S rank 65 cost defense buff. Not bad, huh? You get the defense buff, is already pretty good defense, and on top of that, you have an S rank multiplier with his pretty good attack, 65 cost. As for magical spells, we have 15 single E, bleh. Int breaks, defense breaks. So basically just the enemy, if they are a magic caster, if you were to build him with magic, then you can make the enemy not do as much damage with their spells and also take more physical damage. All in all, you know, he's not bad, but nothing is like popping out to me like, wow, I need this ability, or I need this like right now. It would be cool to get him just because of how he looks. I'm not so certain he would actually make it onto my team. Awakened Rosalind. All of the Rosalinds we've seen have been pretty sick. She looks pretty sick as well. Good HP, really, really good attack, decent defense, really, really good int, and decent resistance, really, really fast speed. Yo, these stats are really good, dude. So int and attack super high, so you could build her for either hybrid, either direction you want to take that, and it's not going to hurt you too bad. Resistances in 3 out of the 4 attributes, with ice being 50%. So the only elemental attribute that will even be doing normal damage to her is star, but she does have resistances on the other ones. Okay, I'm back. I lost internet there for a second. I forgot where exactly I was. I think we were at the point we were talking about abilities, right? So let's talk about abilities. Okay, so in all stats except speed, gun buff. Now, initial SP plus 15 whenever battle begins. That's super cool. I really like that. So if you have this ability, if you have a member on your team who has like a high cost ability that you want to get off early, like turn 1, this is definitely going to help them do that. This is also going to help with your AoE farmers to maintain enough mana or enough SP to use their ability more times than would probably be necessary to farm. So that's pretty cool. Self, when equipped with a gun, damage dealt plus 50%. That's a pretty hefty buff just for using the weapon that she's intended to use. All enemies attack, defense, int, and resistance minus 10%. So a minor buff to like every important stat to the enemy right off the bat just for being Nether Awakened. Insane this person is. She's like a nuke with insane support abilities. I'm loving this right now. Okay, single target speed buff, 15 SPE damage, whatever. Single target A plus 55 cost. Now, the thing about these 55 cost and the high cost is now we can start considering them since we're starting with an extra 15 SP whenever the battle begins. So you still have to wait a couple turns to get this off, but it's entirely possible to get it off on like turn 2 or 3, and with the right setup, probably even, you know, turn 2 much easier. A self buff, action gauge plus 500, attack and int plus 100%. And that is a 25 cost, which she can use turn 1 because of the initial SP, dude. What? That's ridiculous, man. Okay, two things about it. There's good and there's bad, okay? It's not like, oh my god, God mode. That is super good. One thing I'm noticing is it's a setup ability, so you do have to use a turn using that ability. Something that kind of cuts that con right in half is that you get a 500 action gauge boost when you do it. So it's not like you're losing, I mean, you are essentially losing a turn because the enemy will lap that 500 action gauge that you have to recover, but it's not the end of, like, your world, okay? So, also attacking int 100%, that's hefty, dude. That is a big, big buff. So, after you get off that initial buff, as long as you're not killed turn 1, then you will be coming back with a vengeance, dude. We also have an area of effect party attack and intellect buff plus 30%, since she already has such high attack and intellect. Even more so, she's very hybrid oriented. Looks like we're dealing wind damage though, so if the enemy does have a high wind resistance, you could run into a little bit of a problem right there. Single target, 15 cost, minor speed buff. Okay, 55 cost, crest roses, A plus 55. Okay, hold on. A plus damage, 55 cost, minor defense break. Now, this is single target. The thing about it being 55 cost is it is entirely attainable to get within the first few turns because of this initial SP gain. So that's super good. Moving on to the magic spells. So we have a single target wind. We have a 5 cost defense break and a 15 cost defense break here. So that's in her kit as well. Also, area of effect mega wind. It's a 35 cost at an F plus. Not really the best. I think that the move for her would be to go for these physical freaking buffs, man. Wowza. Imagine getting off this, like, this Mortal Liberation, and then you get off a Crest Roses. Jeez Louise, will the damage be nuts. Oh, I'm keeping her up. I would be so happy to pull her. Alright, next we got Mizzle. A Mizzle? Mizzle? They look pretty cool, I guess. HP is whatever. Attack is pretty good. Defense super duper low. You might have to pump some mana into that defense so you don't get super heavied by physical. Int is really high and resistance is good. Speed is good too. We have 25 in all attribute resistances, so no attribute is going to be super effective against them whenever they are being attacked with an attribute. So definitely that defense seems to be the main weakness here. I'm noticing a self AoE damage dealt plus 50%, and they are also a bow character. Something to note about this is once you unlock level 9 Weapon Master with the bow, you do get a 20 cost area of effect. So that could be very, very much a late game farmer, to where if the enemies were super duper strong and you weren't able to take them out in one hit with your Star Mage anymore, this could pretty much take care of the first 2 waves. But then you run into the classic dilemma of now you have to build SP again. Self, healed by 15% if an enemy is down when a turn ends. Okay, we've talked about that before. Bow and staff equipping members damage dealt plus 15%. Bow and staff equipping members SP cost minus 9%. So, what we just talked about with the area of effect 20 cost for the bow, this makes it an 18 cost because cutting 20% blah 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 makes the cost 18. So, you could use it still twice, right? Still only twice before you have to wait a turn. But yeah, you know, it also buffs your allies as well. We have a single target forget. We have an area of effect 35 cost, minor int debuff, and a huge cost area of effect minor int debuff with only a C plus damage. So those are just physical though. Let's look at the magic. Single target stun, okay. Single target speed buff, okay. We have area of effect fire, area of effect ice, and area of effect wind. Okay, so those, you do have a lot of coverage there. You don't have coverage on every attribute, but you have decent coverage on 3 of them. That being said, a lot of the people that have these debuffs, you're going to have to, or that have these attribute resistances, you're going to have to really know your stuff if you want to plan which one to use. I guess just always have the wiki up if you're running all 3 of these. That as well, these are also 35 cost, so you don't just get to use them turn 1 unless you have setup. So he's not really going to be a farmer per se, but he will be a good area of effect like end game, trying to get past hard stages, hard enemies, etc. Big boy speed buff, only a 15 cost big boy speed buff, and then a single target poison. So all in all, you know, they're interesting. I think that they do indeed have some good uses. I just think that there's probably other units that do this job better, or if you want to big brain it and bring all 3 attributes and just have the, you know, the memorization abilities to memorize what everyone's resistances is for every single attribute, this could potentially be a really good character, but I myself am probably not going to be rolling for them. What do we got next? Oh, she looks cool. Sapphire. Nice. Okay. HP is good, attack is good, defense super duper low, int super duper low, and resistance is good. So another one of those characters that physical hits are going to really bring her down a notch. But we do have attribute resistances, and that's the other thing with the last guy. These 3 are the most common resistances. But anyways, yes, she does have 3 of those resistances covered. The higher the HP, the higher the boost on attack, up to 35%. So she has a really good speed. That being said, you're going to really want to roll turn 1 to take advantage of that, right? Because if you're trying to get an attack boost with high HP, you don't want to get hit. Yet you're pretty much only going to be able to take advantage of that while she has not been hit. So you have 1 turn essentially to take advantage of that. Gun equipping members, SP cost minus 10%. She is a gun equipping members. Gun equips damage plus 15%. Gun equips speed plus 6%. So people with guns, super great buffs we got going on here. 20 cost area of effect. It does have an ice attribute though, so that it could be good, could be bad depending on the enemy. 65 cost S. Minor defense break. We like those. Those are good to have. And we also have a party, slightly restore HP and remove status ailment single. So an area of effect, heal and cleanse. Very good. Having a heal and a cleanse, that could definitely save you in a pinch. It looks like for magic we have a bunch of buffs and debuffs. So we have attack debuff, int debuff. So no matter what damage the enemy is doing, you could cut that in half with her by you know, doing which one needs to be casted on that enemy. You also have a speed buff for your team. None of these are AoEs though. She is cool. She's okay. All right, nothing too special. Nothing really striking me as, oh my god, I need this character right now. And last is going to be Yami, I don't know. But then after we look at her, we'll go back over everyone that I think would have been good to pull or save for in a future banner. Really good HP, mediocre attack, really good defense, like some of the lowest intellect I've ever seen. That's super duper rough, and then a pretty low resistance as well. Speed is 51 from this, you know, I can tell she already uses fists, so she gets a little speed buff there. Super duper minor ice resistance, nothing to get too excited about. All members attack plus 16 whenever battle begins, 16%, so that's a minor attack buff just for starting the fight. That's good. Has a chance to take single targeted attack for party members. Now this is something, there's a character that does this in pretty much every game. Very, very cool. The thing about this is her resistance is so low that if you're taking a physical attack, then great. You know, she can absorb that and mitigate a lot of the damage by having a high defense. If it's a single target magic attack, it's pretty much going to melt her. So that could be situational, but that's also good. It sounds way better than it is in every game. I don't have her, obviously, so I haven't tested it in this one. But, like, you know, Nadine does this in freaking Heroes War Counterattack. Like, I could go off, I could figure it out if I wanted to remember more. But I've seen this a bunch of times, and it never works out how you think it's going to. As cool as it sounds, it's pretty rough that it just doesn't seem to work out. All members defense plus 15%, so you have all members attack and defense buffs. The defense isn't even when battle begins, that's just all the time. The lower the HP, the higher the boost on attack and defense. We've talked about this before. Very, very good for, you know, she gets lower and lower, and then it gets harder and harder to kill. Okay, hold on. Visual representation, okay? First hit does that much damage. Second hit does that much damage. Third hit. And then eventually it just gets harder and harder and harder to kill her. And she does more and more damage the lower it gets, so that's pretty good. I love that ability on a lot of different characters. Single target attack buff, okay. Also a single target defense and resistance buff, so you might be wanting to lead with that if you have a magic caster on the enemy team, because they could be hitting you with magic attacks. This will help them not be so strong. 20 cost area of effect. Okay, a lot of people have that. We have a single target 65S with a minor defense break. We've seen that a few times as well. Now for magic, we have defense buffs, resistance buffs, speed buffs, and yeah. So if you want a super tank, a physical super tank, this would be a good physical super tank. But if I'm being honest, I think I would much rather prefer Barbara as my super tank. So, I mean, look at the difference, dude. Like, just comparing what we said about her versus her, I mean, they're both good in their own respective ways. I can respect them both. I think Barbara would be a better choice for me. Okay, so that's it. We've looked at every single one of these dudes, so let's go ahead and pull up all the ones that I thought would have been worth it. Okay, looking back at some of the #1 units I would have recommended to pull for if you were like saving for a reroll or something. One is going to be a tired Rosalind, her major selling point being that she increases the action gauge by 100 at turn begin, which runs pretty much the meta in every game, being able to increase the action gauge and ensure that your entire team gets turn 1. Even the slow movers like the axe users and stuff, it will definitely help boost them ahead of the enemy in order to getting a fast turn. Next was going to be Fuka. She she was a single target nuker that had a lot of self-buffing abilities, increases her own attack, increases axe users attack, and she's an axe user, increases single target damage by 60%. She was just an all-around super nuker, and I think we could see some of the highest numbers we've ever seen from her. Zerokin was also useful in the fact that every time his turn ends, your team gets a 50 action gauge boost, which can accumulate and be very, very useful in the long run. And of course, we had the Love Oracle, who came with all sorts of special abilities and extreme supports just to pretty much set her on the side and make sure that your entire team is taking advantage of all of those buffs. She also came with an Area of Effect Cleanse and Minor Heal within the same ability, making her one of what I thought was the best supports. And last, we had Barbara, who was sort of running it as a super tank, being able to get tankier and tankier the more damage she took, also running some of the highest defensive stats in the entire game. I think that if you were looking for a tank, this would absolutely be the #1 tank to go for. And last but not least, Awaken Rosalind, running some insane attack and insane intellect, is going to make her a very good hybrid choice for whichever side of the field you want to play her on. She is also going to be able to buff attack and intellect, just making her all around extremely powerful and a very strong attacker. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, feel free to join my Discord. Just drop in, but don't be sensitive because we like to joke around and have fun. So just drop a meme or a joke or something. And other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.